Welcome to my course, Game Development Basics, Week 5, Lesson 6, Particle Systems. In this lesson, we'll explain the particle systems available to us in Unreal Engine, we'll review the Niagara particle effects, and then we'll demonstrate the implementation of a particle system on our projectile. And before we get started, I just want to preface that this is not an area where I'm an expert. We're going to give a very high-level overview of particle systems. If you want to learn more, I'll put some resources in the description of this video so you can dive in a little bit deeper if particles are something you're interested in. So particle systems are available in Unreal to allow developers the ability to create visual effects on their projects. And there's two VFX systems built into Unreal Engine. There's the Cascade particle system, which is the old VFX system. And then there's Niagara VFX, which is the new VFX system. In this project, we're going to focus on using Niagara, but if you want to learn the old system, there are plenty of tutorials out there for you. So the Niagara VFX system is the primary tool to do visual effects inside Unreal Engine. And the VFX system is comprised of 4 core components. There's the systems, emitters, modules, and parameters. And these are the definitions of each of those components from the Unreal documentation. Now, the Niagara particle effects system has its own UI, and this is shown here. And these are the different components of that UI. We have a menu bar, a toolbar, a preview panel, parameters panel, system overview, scratchpad panel, selection panel, or the stack, curves panel, Niagara log panel, and timeline panel. Now again, I'm not going to go into great detail on this. I just wanted to show a high-level overview so that we can implement some VFX into our game. So let's go ahead and set up a particle system on our projectile to make it look like a laser beam. Here I am back in our project, and right now when I fire my guns, we just have a little tetrahedron coming out. I want to change this to add some VFX to our game. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to create a new folder to keep all of our particle systems in. I'm going to call this VFX. Now in here, we can create a new Niagara particle system by right-clicking and selecting Niagara System. And this gives us a few options. Now, until you're really confident in this, I do not recommend creating an empty system. Once you have a little bit more knowledge, you're more than welcome to start yours from scratch. What I usually do is start with one of the pre-made templates. So up here at the top, we can say New System from Selected Emitters and select Next. And these are a bunch of emitters that are already set up as part of Unreal Engine. And we can scroll through and see that there's a few that we can select from. And I'm going to select Dynamic Beam. And when I press plus, it'll add it to this Emitters to Add section. And if you wanted to, you can select multiples of these and add them to the same emitter. For now, I'll just do the one. And let's call this Laser Beam. And if we open this up, we'll see that viewport that we were talking about previously. And over here, we can see a preview of what our emitter is going to look like. Now, with this selected, let's go back to our projectile. And on the collider, let's add and type Niagara. And we can see we can add a Niagara particle system component. And because we already had it selected, it's already loaded in. So let's change the rotation so that it's traveling in the direction of our projectile and hit compile. And one more thing I want to do is this collider, I no longer be showing it in the game. So I'm going to say hidden in game. And now when I fire my lasers, they look like laser beams traveling through space. The collider is still there, but it's now hidden from the player's view. If we wanted to, we could add another emitter. And for this one, let's select Fountain. And here in the velocity, we can change this to be on the x-axis. And now these particles are going to be flying with the laser. Let's try this out and see what it looks like. And maybe that's just a few too many. So let's go back here. So here in the spawn rate, we can change this number 90 down to something like 40, and now we'll create a lot less particles. We could even go as low as 20. whatever you like for your style. We can also change the color of these particles to match the color of our laser beam. Or you could choose a different color to make it look more dynamic. And you can see here that by adding multiple emitters, we can create a very dynamic system for some very interesting VFX. For mine though, I just want to stick to the beam for now. So I'm going to select my fountain and I'm going to delete it. And now we just have our laser beam. So feel free to take some time and customize your laser beam for your gun. If you want to dive a little bit deeper into VFX, I highly recommend CG Howe's channel on YouTube. He has a lot of great visual effects tutorials, and he even has a paid course on Udemy if you wanted to go very deep into learning VFX. For this course though, we'll just stick to the basics, but feel free to do some learning on your own. And now that we have our VFX system set up on this weapon, I think it's a good time to start implementing the functionality of the weapon, and that is destroying enemies. But before we do that, we need to create some enemies. And we'll handle this in our next lesson.